Hey everybody, Jason Laird from the Storm Tracker Weather Center here on this Thursday afternoon with a quick weather update. Well, the big story remains high pressure planted over top of the state. That's ushering up sunny conditions and really overall nice weather across the state. Now, with those warmer temperatures, we are still tracking some flooding along the High Line and the chances of morning fog here for a few more nights. So, breaking down that fog tracker again as we enter into this evening, likely going to see a little bit of fog into the northeastern corner of the state, Cut Bank to Great Falls, Havre, and possibly drifting into Lewistown. The areas that are going to see fog are the areas that still have some snowpack on the ground, or there's a lot of water in fields. Those are the two areas, again, where we're going to get that evaporation and some fog is likely going to form overnight. All right, a lot of flood warnings to break down here. I'm going to kind of broad brush this a little bit just because these conditions are changing so rapidly, just to kind of give you an idea what we've got going here. So it looks like we do have a new warning here. If I can get my clicker, there we go. This particular new warning, it looks like issued for Fergus County, extended up through Saturday at 12:21 a.m. This is going to be near Landusky, and this is for a portion of the Missouri River. Flood stage is 25 feet. Currently, we're sitting at 22, but this is forecasted to rise above flood level as we enter into the weekend with those warmer temperatures, so keep that in mind. Dark greens we're looking at for Cut Bank, Lewistown. These areas right in here are going to be under that flood advisory, meaning conditions are likely favorable for increased flooding in these areas. Some minor flooding has been reported. But the big story here is all along the Milk River, from Glasgow to Havre. This area is seeing significant flooding. A lot of areas. Big Sandy Creek is another one in this area where we've got flood warnings, aerial flood warnings for pretty much all of Hill County there extending. Now, anytime you see these aerial flood advisories, that means it's encompassing the whole county or a large area, meaning that all creeks and streams in these areas are going to see flooding. But when we get those more isolated flood warnings that are in specific areas, those are basically telling us that that particular chunk of the river is at or expected to rise above flood level. So when you see those aerial flood warnings, again, it's breaking down, or I should say it's kind of broad brushing the whole area that is selected, meaning that that whole area is likely going to see flooding. When it's more isolated, those darker green flood warnings, that's when just one particular chunk of a river or stream is seeing that current flooding. Now, to kind of break things down over the next 48 hours, here's what we've got going. Weak area of low pressure dropping throughout the area. That's going to cool temperatures down slightly this weekend, but nothing drastic. So as we move into Friday, we're still looking at temperatures well into the mid-60s. Saturday looks to be a windy one. Notice right here this fairly tight pressure gradient. That system is going to track in. So once we move into our Saturday, this tight pressure gradient here likely going to increase those winds. We are tracking a very weak cold front moving throughout the area on Saturday, but it's a dry one. So most of this moisture is going to get hung up into the mountains. I'm keeping moisture out of the forecast on Saturday. Our next chance of rain looks to be Sunday night into Monday. There you can kind of see that tightening pressure gradient moving over top of Montana once Saturday afternoon rolls around. So sunny skies, little windy on Saturday. Rain moves back into the forecast. Not heavy rain, but rain again Sunday night into Monday. Those overall low temperatures this evening just right around the freezing degree mark, which good news there, kind of helps to slow the overall snow melt slightly. As we take you into tomorrow, our TGI Friday, looking at 60s across the board. 64 here in Great Falls, Havre at 60, 65 in Helena. Now, we are seeing less snowpack along the High Line just due to all the snow melt, so eventually conditions will start to dry up with these temperatures into the 60s, but we still do have a little bit of lingering moisture that's going to melt and likely cause some flooding in those areas. Okay, breaking down the wind once we go into Saturday. Once that pressure gradient starts to tighten up right around early afternoon, so noon to 3 is when I'm expecting the heaviest winds, about 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts throughout Great Falls. Not as bad here in Helena. Cut Bank, as always, going to see the strongest gusts at about 40 to 50. As that system kind of tracks through, we'll see those winds drop down slightly, but the High Line is going to see the greatest chance for winds up through this weekend on Saturday. There's a quick check of that forecast. Hope to see you tonight, 5:30 and 10 o'clock.